West Pacific to the island of Kenya. They treat me like a son anywhere I go. And even though no one can tell, I still feel that I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone.
Yeah.
All good, I believe.
All right.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good time.
you.
Thank you so much.
The border was intense. The queues went on forever and people were getting shouted at for moving out of their lane they've been told to be in. The border immigration man had so many questions. How long are you staying for? We said 88 days. Have you really calculated it? Are you sure? You don't want to get an entry ban? Have you got enough money to sustain yourself? We had to show him our bank account. He reckoned we needed 9,000 euros for the stay. Goodness, but we're through. Right, next stop is Volendam for the cheese and clogs tourist attraction where we can stay overnight.
We've arrived at our first port of call, which will also be our night stopover at Volendam at the Simonhove cheese and clog farm. We're going to go and find out about how they make cheese and clogs. That's a huge tulip. That tulip's bigger than Darrelle. So,
Bigger than me.
as I said,
Doesn't take a lot.
50-minute drive from the ferry port and the edge of Amsterdam.
There are only 25 people in Holland who still can do it.
So the lucky one could try the cheese. That was quite the experience. Full on cheese tasting, clog making, money making activity. But free to enter, free tour, free tasting. Really good. Just a bit of a shame that I can't have cheese. Still never mind. Pop, 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 pop. We've come to the place where all the coach parties seem to have arrived. As we sat in the car park, at least 4 coaches turned up, and then another 2, and then another 2. We are in Volendam. And around the edge of Volendam is the dike that protects it from the sea. And a very pretty village that's full of tourists. Not really our sort of place at all, but apparently you've got to do these things. So we're going to have a look. Of course, this area is famed for its cheese. And there's some cheese presses. And there's the big cheese. Apparently, if you're lactose intolerant, you can tolerate cheese that's over 2 years old. Well, we'll have to see. I did try a piece. I'm hoping it's not going to have a bad effect, because that's unpleasant.
So am I. I've got to share a small space with him.
So Volendam is in an area of the Netherlands called North Holland, and the dike, which is currently undergoing some renovation work, protects the area These 3 rather spectacular boats are actually national monuments to the fishermen that used to fish out of this area. The dike itself was built here in 1932, which changed somewhat the traditional fishing lives of the people that lived along the side of this part of the North Sea. And they were fishing for the things you would expect: cod and haddock, mackerel, etc. Especially for Darrelle, they've even got a seal house.
Shut up.
It's either that or a Tory MP. to you from Edam in North Holland. As we always try, if there is a town museum, you start in the town museum. And this is the town museum of Edam, is that it has what they describe as a floating cellar.
As he steps on the ladder, because it's floating, it moves.
And look at the back wall, you can see that it's floating. That is a really strange sensation. Okay.
It's incredible. You can look, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it's like a separate construction. So there's the wall there, and then it's completely separate all the way around. Like they built a little boat underneath the house. If you've been to Amsterdam, you will know they have very, very, very steep staircases. In 1403, a mermaid was washed in from the Zuider Zee through a broken dike. When the dike was mended, she couldn't get back out.
Rather than cheese, Edam should actually have been known for the shipwrights and shipbuilders. Typically ocean-going vessels, quite small and nimble. Edam itself is not actually on either the sea or a river, the closest river being the Zuider Zee, and canals were dug from the river to enable the activities for trade and shipbuilding within the town.
I think that square there is where they have the cheese market. They only run it in the summer these days. We're walking down towards the Grosse Kerke. No, I don't think that's even right. The Grosse Kerk, which is the original church. There's a newer one called the Kleine Kerk. This is the Grosse Kerk. It is indeed a very big church. So, this is the North Gate. This is the point at which it was too wet to build beyond.
Seems a lot more sensible collecting the cardboard and paper recycling without plastic boxes. It's very hard to capture the silence despite the birds. It's just a very calm and peaceful place. Albeit that it's quite busy with cars, the nature surrounding is amazing. I would definitely recommend a visit to Edam. So we are in the town of Hoorn. It's obviously market day being Saturday. Sadly, the town museum is closed, undergoing some sort of facelift. Hoorn grew in importance as a trading centre, mainly due to the Dutch East India Company. And as a result of the trade, you can see the old warehouses here, from the 1600s on, all being fed by this quayside. And of course the buildings set at jaunty angles due to subsidence.
Now we're out of the madness of the town centre. This is really pretty.
Now there's a building with attitude. Very hard to capture the decoration on it. So built in 1532, this late Gothic defence tower is a white yellow natural stone on the seaward side. For visibility, after 1614 the tower lost its original function, was repurposed. It's currently a restaurant. The bell tower originates from 1651. The jetty dates back to 1464, so it's been doing its thing for quite some time. So I think Hoorn looks like an interesting place if you're into your maritime history. The park up that we'd identified for tonight is at the end of the marina, and I have to say looks a little busy. We're not particularly into big towns, but if you're looking for a shopping area, I would say it's got a pretty comprehensive shopping centre, even a C&A. We love a C&A. So we're off to find somewhere slightly more our style and quieter. Hello. Well, this evening we are at a campsite, well, a camperplatz called Vingard Salhof, and it's a little bit more us. It's a vineyard. The camperplatz is actually closed this weekend, but we drove on, we were chased, and it's €23 for the night. That includes electricity and obviously parking, water, grey waste, chemical toilet, and there is even a toilet and a shower, which is quite unusual. I have to say that the site that we'd found in Hoorn didn't really tick our boxes at all. It would have been far too noisy on a Saturday night. We also have little cabins that you can rent. They look really nice. Well, that's us. Time to go and make a cup of tea and settle down for the night. There's Claude. So we are at the port of Den Oever, which is right at the top of the peninsula of North Holland. Den Oever has been a fishing port since 1949, and judging by the sheds along the port side, it's very much about shellfish. At this port they land mainly herring, rog, which looks a bit like a flatfish, mussels, whelks, cockles, periwinkles and oysters. This is part of the dike that protects the town of Den Oever. Just over in the distance there's a light band of what looks like concrete, and that is the beginning of the dike wall that we're going to drive across. And you can see just in front of us now there are sluice gates. I do remember learning about the Zuider Zee at school, because it was a major operation to save Amsterdam really and allow Amsterdam to grow and protect it from what was a huge estuary of the Zuider Zee, which they effectively capped and controlled at this point with this immense dike. Well, somewhat unwittingly, the Wadden Zee is a World Heritage Site. This area covers over 11,500 square kilometres along the edge of the Netherlands, Germany and Denmark. The Wadden Zee.
Now, it might not look like much, but for somebody who's scared of heights, going up there, it's all open. And you did it!
I did. Mrs. Waggle the camera around.
Very proud. He's literally shaking.
The Elfsfly Dike is an important part of the water management that the Netherlands have had to undertake. The Netherlands is pretty much a river delta, and over the years has been subject to much damage, live and livestock loss through flooding from the North Sea. The building of the dike started in 1920, ended around 1936, formed an inland freshwater lake called IJsselmeer, which replaced what was the Zuider Zee Delta. This now produces fresh water for the Netherlands. Well, I hope you enjoyed the epic drive. It was fun. We're now going to go. We found an information centre, so maybe we can put some context into what we've just driven across. with climate change and changes in sea levels, they're constantly having to adapt and update the dike to maintain the protection from the sea. It's such an interesting thing. I mean, I have literally put together a few words about something that I think we've been in the visitor centre now for best part of an hour, learning about the various aspects right the way through from when the original hunter-gatherers started to use the land, where they built mounds or built their properties or their houses on mounds where they could be protected from the sea, and it's just really interesting. So if you have any interest in ecology and you have any interest in water management, this is a super place to come. And of course it also connected North Holland with North Friesland, and that's where we're going next. I would definitely suggest that if you can, come see this place. It's incredible.
Good morning, we're in Harlingen. We had a great night's sleep last night, and now we're going to go and look around the town and see what we can see. The park up is right by the port, so lots of lights and noise early on, but we still slept incredibly well. €12.50 for the night, so time to wander around. Harlingen is in Friesland, which is of course, as you've already been told, where the Frisian cows come from, but it is also where the Frisians come from. The Frisians speak their own language, and they were one of the groups that came to England after the Romans left, who left their language behind. I love those bells. Aren't they gorgeous? If we come across great gluten-free food, we will tell you. Almond cake at Eats and Sweets in Harlingen. Yum.
This is the Noorderhaven. Opposite us, you can see the town hall with a statue of St. Michael. The town was laid out in 1732 and has pretty much stayed the same in format since then.
Yesterday, when we were planning our next bit of the route, I was looking at a map that said there's a thing for children to do here called a gnome forest. I disagree. I don't believe that gnome forests are just for children. Let's go and see if it really is. We're in the gnome forest. I don't want to scare them off.
We're in a gnome battle here. Gnomes down. Gnomes down. Good morning from the gnome forest. We found gnomes. Look, there's one right behind me there. Where's it gone? Hey! Well, what might look like an innocuous woodland hides some secrets within. So round about the time that Stonehenge was built, the area that we're in now, which is called Hegebintum, was peat. They were peat bogs and salt marshlands. The method of building in these areas, because people wanted to inhabit the area because of the fact that peat was highly fertile, they built mounds out of salt clay, so clay from the marshes. And they built the mounds, they were called Terps, were built to allow them to build their villages and structures on the top. The other reason for building the Terp up out of the marsh was so that when high seas and storm tides came, they didn't flood the villages or settlements. The existing church structure was built around 1100. Many areas saw Terps placed next to each other and small villages developed. You may of course have noticed that we find this stuff fascinating. I think it's so interesting to think about where populations came from, how they moved, how they decided where to stay. And of course, they were the forerunners of the populations that we have today. People that came from all over, traded with each other. It's just a fascinating area that we find interesting. I hope you do too. All of the orange dots on this map represent Terp. So we were here last night in Harlingen. We're here now, the Museum of the Terp at Hegebintum.
Tonight we are staying on Campervan. That's not easy for me to say. €20 a night. We were met by a lovely man who was very helpful. Gave us the Wi-Fi code. Wi-Fi is incredible. Editing a video to hopefully upload tonight because am I in the wrong one? Is that the wrong one? Is it this one? It's this one. I'm getting the wrong code. Washing up facilities. Very clean toilet and shower. Beautiful. Only the one. It's not open the other one because there's only 2 vans here tonight, so completely makes sense. So that's where we are tonight.
In common with our theme from Orkney, we have come to the Hunbed Centre here in Friesland, in Netherlands. And the Hunbeds are, well, should we go and find out? It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's another one bites the dust. Guessing these rocks might give you some sort of indication as to what Hunbed is. Stonehenge is 670 kilometres away. Newgrange, which is in Ireland, 898. Faloping in Sweden. Megalithstrasse in Germany. Gobkeel Tepe, don't know where TR is, that's 3025 kilometres. Gizeh in Egypt, Malta, Veris in Belgium, Antequera in Spain, and Gunbed. 100 metres.
This way.
This way. Their stone builders, as they call them, originated in Turkey. The stone structures found in this area were made from the glacial boulder clay left over from the Ice Age, which of course we know to be different for the stone builders of Stonehenge and of the stone circles on the Orkney Islands, where they actually cut the rock from the ground. Going back, 2 different videos, one in Norfolk and one in Ireland, where they found traces or actual roadways built across peat areas, quite often leading nowhere in particular that they could discern. Well, interestingly, in the Drenthe region of the Netherlands, which is where we are, top end of Friesland, they have also found pathways. They say there have been both broad and narrow peat roads in Drenthe since the Stone Age. What is remarkable about these roads is many of them lead nowhere but come to the end in the middle of the peat. In 1957 a small Bronze Age temple was found in peat at Barge Oosterveld near Emmen, which isn't very far from where we are. Right next to a wooden causeway, in the middle stood 4 tree trunks which have probably borne a plank on which to make offerings. The horn-shaped ends might be an indication that cattle played an important role in the Bronze Age here, including rituals. Good morning. It's Thursday the 16th of October and autumn is most definitely starting. We are on a campsite near Wildervank, or Veendam. It's a water sports centre. It was £12.50 for the van, €3 each for the adults. You could have electricity at 75 cents per kilowatt hour. And it's an absolutely glorious morning. Not busy this time of year at all. We're consistently the only UK van touring in this area. So today, a bit of an admin day, and then we are heading up into Germany. I think that we're going to go to Oldenburg, and there's a bar, so I think it's time for some leisure. But yeah, let me take you and show you the facilities. It's protected with a key code, so you have all the facilities that you would expect. Water, waste, etc. I don't propose to show you those, very boring. And then there is a little building which has got showers, toilets, as you would expect, as is fairly common for the majority of continental campsites that we've found, and it's really nice. Oh, and free Wi-Fi. So this will be the second site that we've had free Wi-Fi on, and it's really good, really fast down and up, which saves on the data. Data seems to be one of those things that I am panicking about. Just next to the campsite, see the geese over there. Geese activity has been absolutely amazing. Of course, this is the time of year that the geese are migrating south, so they spend their summers in Iceland and now they're migrating south. So there were an incredible number of geese when we were in the Orkneys, and we're seeing incredible numbers of geese here as well. But this is a what they call an aqua park, water sports centre. There's a, I don't really know what you call it, water skiing, that's the word. There's a water skiing course and you can buy time to do that. So if you've got kids or young teenagers, this could be a good place to come. But what a beautiful place. Well, good morning. We are at an overnight park up here in Oldenburg, just along the side of the river, and it was a very peaceful night. Search for sites say there's road noise, but actually we didn't notice anything. So yeah, excellent. No services, but free parking.
I'm a traveling spirit, I've seen many shores, from the West Pacific to the island of Canyo. They treat me like a son anywhere I go, and even though no one can tell, I still feel that I'm